So proud of your housewarming next week, sweetheart. My daughter froze, just stopped mid-bite with her fork halfway to her mouth. Her husband, Trevor, let out this short laugh. Not a real one, the kind that comes out when someone catches you doing something you shouldn't. It was 10 days ago, Dad, he said. I set my coffee down. Didn't say anything right away. Just looked at my daughter. Waited for her to correct him. To tell me he was joking. To explain. She wouldn't meet my eyes. My name is David. I'm 59. I work in commercial refrigeration repair. Been doing it for 33 years. Fixed restaurant freezers, grocery store coolers, anything that keeps food cold. It's honest work, hard work, the kind that leaves your knuckles scraped and your back sore. I raised my daughter alone after her mother passed when she was 7. Breast cancer. Took her in 11 months. I worked double shifts to keep us afloat. Made sure she had everything she needed. Put her through college without a single loan. Helped her with her first car, her first apartment. Every step. Now she was sitting across from me at this diner we'd been coming to for 20 years, telling me her housewarming party happened 10 days ago. 10 days, I repeated. Dad, I can explain, she said. Her name is Vanessa. She's 28 now, works as a dental hygienist, has her mother's eyes and her grandmother's stubborn streak. Go ahead. She looked at Trevor. He gave her this little nod, like they'd practiced this. We wanted a small thing, she said, just close friends. You know how you get at parties. You start talking to people about work and you don't really relax. I didn't get loud, didn't slam my hand on the table, just sat there and let that sink in. How many people? I asked. Maybe 40, Trevor said. 40 people at my daughter's housewarming party. 40 people celebrating the house I helped them buy. The house where I'd spent 3 weekends painting bedrooms and fixing the plumbing in the guest bathroom because the previous owner had done it all wrong. I saw the photos on your mom's Facebook, I said to Trevor. His mother had posted at least 15 pictures. The backyard looked nice. They'd hung string lights, had a table full of food. Everyone looked happy. Yeah, she went a little overboard with the posting, he said. I nodded. Took a sip of coffee that had gone cold. The house looks good, I said. Dad, Vanessa started. I need to get to work. I have a service call in Burlington. I stood up. Left $40 on the table for a $22 meal. Didn't wait for change. Dad, please don't leave like this, Vanessa said. I stopped at the door, looked back at her. Enjoy the house, I said. That was 3 weeks ago. She'd called 6 times since then. Left voicemails, sent texts. I didn't answer, didn't delete them either, just let them sit there. The thing is, I'd been noticing stuff for a while. Little things. Trevor had started making comments about my truck. It's a 2003 Ford F-150 with 287,000 miles on it. Runs fine, gets me where I need to go. But he'd make jokes about it in front of his friends. Called it vintage once, not in a good way. Then there were the holidays. Last Christmas, they'd invited me over at 2 in the afternoon. Dinner was at 4. When I got there, I realized they'd already done presents in the morning with Trevor's family. I got the afternoon slot, the leftovers time, Vanessa's birthday in March. They'd gone to some fancy restaurant in Boston. She mentioned it casually a week later, said it was just the 2 of them. Romantic. I'd sent flowers to her work like I did every year. She'd texted a thank you with a smiley face. I'd let it all slide. Told myself they were newlyweds. They needed their space, their time together. I didn't want to be that father-in-law who couldn't let go. But the housewarming stung different. I'd co-signed the mortgage. They couldn't get approved without me. Trevor's credit wasn't good enough. Some debt from grad school he hadn't mentioned until the bank ran his numbers. Vanessa didn't make enough on her own. So they'd asked me to co-sign. I did it without hesitation. Even put down $15,000 for part of their down payment. Money I'd been saving for a fishing boat. A small one. Nothing fancy. Just something to take out on the weekends. We'll pay you back, Dad, Vanessa had said. I promise. That was 8 months ago. I hadn't seen $1 yet. The night after that diner breakfast, I couldn't sleep. Lay in bed staring at the ceiling. My house felt too quiet. It had been feeling that way for a while. After my wife died, Vanessa had been my focus, my reason for getting up. Now she had her own life, her own home. I was happy for her. I was, but I also felt something I hadn't expected. Invisible, like I'd served my purpose and now I could fade into the background. My phone buzzed. Another text from Vanessa. "Dad, please call me. I want to explain everything. I love you." I turned the phone face down on the nightstand, closed my eyes, thought about that housewarming party. 40 people eating food and drinking drinks in a house I'd helped make possible. Trevor's mother taking photos for Facebook. Everyone having a great time. Everyone except me, because I hadn't been invited. I got up around midnight, went to my office, started going through the paperwork from the mortgage, found the cosigner agreement, read through it. Then I pulled out the canceled check from the down payment, $15,000, written out to Vanessa and Trevor for their future. I sat there for a long time looking at those documents. Something had shifted that morning at the diner, something I couldn't quite put my finger on yet, but I felt it, like a weight settling in my chest. I thought about calling her, telling her it was fine, that I understood, but I didn't, because somewhere in the back of my mind, a voice was asking questions I didn't want to answer. Questions about respect, about being taken for granted, about what happens when you give everything and get nothing back. I put the documents back in the file, went back to bed. Sleep didn't come any easier the second time. I'd been 26 when Vanessa was born. Young, scared. Her mother, Catherine, had been the steady one, the planner. She'd had everything mapped out. Where Vanessa would go to school, what activities she'd try, how we'd save for college. Then she got sick. Stage 4 by the time they caught it. Aggressive. The kind of cancer that doesn't negotiate. I still remember the oncologist's face when he told us. Professional sympathy. The look of a man who delivered bad news too many times. Catherine fought hard. Chemo, radiation, clinical trials. We drove to Dana-Farber in Boston every week, 3-hour round trips. I'd take time off work, burn through vacation days, sick days, personal days. She died on a Tuesday, morning light coming through the hospital window, Vanessa asleep in my lap. Catherine looked at me and said, "Take care of our girl." Then she closed her eyes and never opened them again. I kept my promise. Single father working full-time in Portland, Maine. My parents had both passed by then. Catherine's parents lived in Arizona. They'd offered to take Vanessa for a while. Let me get my feet under me. I said no. She was mine to raise. I learned to braid hair from YouTube videos. Burned more dinners than I can count those first few months. Forgot about parent-teacher conferences. Showed up to school events in my work clothes, smelling like refrigerant and sweat. But I figured it out. We figured it out. Vanessa and I became a team. Every morning I'd make breakfast, usually scrambled eggs and toast. We'd eat together before I dropped her off at school. Every night we'd have dinner at the table, no TV, just us talking about our days. When she was 10, she wanted to learn guitar. I bought her one, drove her to lessons every Thursday for 3 years, sat in the waiting room doing paperwork, listened to her practice every night even when my head was pounding from a 12-hour shift. When she was 14, she made the volleyball team. I went to every game, home and away, kept stats in a little notebook. She still has it somewhere. I taught her to drive, to change a tire, to check her oil, to handle a toolbox. I wanted her to be independent, to never need a man for the basic stuff. "You're doing great, Dad," she'd told me once. She was 16. We were sitting in the driveway. She'd just gotten her license. Mom would be proud. I'd believed her. When she graduated high school, I threw her a party, rented out a pavilion at the park, invited everyone she knew, cooked burgers and hot dogs, made her favorite potato salad. Her friends stayed until midnight. She'd hugged me at the end and said, "Best day ever." College was harder. University of Southern Maine. Close enough that she could live at home if she wanted. She chose to dorm. Said she needed the experience. I understood. Hated it. But understood. I'd visit every few weeks, take her to lunch, give her money for books or groceries or whatever she needed. She'd always seem happy to see me, tell me about her classes, her friends, her life. Then she met Trevor junior year. He was in business school, 24, 2 years older than her. His family lived in Cape Elizabeth. Money, real money. His father owned a chain of urgent care clinics. His mother did something with real estate. Trevor was polite, dressed well, talked about investment portfolios and market trends, things I didn't understand. "He's really smart, Dad," Vanessa had said. "I'm sure he is." They dated for 2 years before he proposed. Private beach proposal, photographer hiding in the dunes, the whole production. She'd called me crying happy tears. "I'm engaged, Dad." "That's wonderful, sweetheart." I'd meant it. I wanted her happy. If Trevor made her happy, then I was happy. But I'd noticed things even then. The way Trevor would check his phone when I was talking. The way he'd redirect conversations about my work to topics he found more interesting. The way his family never invited me to their holiday gatherings. "They're just a smaller family," Vanessa had explained once. "More intimate." I'd let it go. The wedding was in June, 2 years ago. Nice ceremony at a country club. I'd walked her down the aisle, paid for half of everything even though Trevor's parents had offered to cover it all. I wanted to contribute. She was my daughter. Trevor's father had given a toast at the reception, talked about welcoming Vanessa into their family, about how proud they were, about the future. I'd given a toast too, kept it short, told Vanessa I loved her, that her mother would have been so proud, that I'd always be there for her. She'd cried, hugged me, told me I was the best dad in the world. Looking back now, I could see the pattern. I'd been slowly getting phased out. Not all at once, just gradually, like turning down the volume so slowly you don't notice until it's almost silent. Phone calls became less frequent. Visits became shorter. Invitations came later. Plans got made without me. And I'd let it happen because I thought that was what parents were supposed to do. Step back, let their kids build their own lives. But when they'd asked me to co-sign the mortgage, I'd felt needed again. Important, like I still mattered. "We can't do this without you, Dad," Vanessa had said. I'd believed her. I'd gone to the bank, signed the papers, answered all their questions about my income and my assets and my debts, felt proud that I could help. Then I'd written that check, $15,000, nearly everything I'd saved for the boat, but it was for her, for their future, so it felt right. "You're the best, Dad," Trevor had said. Shook my hand. "We really appreciate this." The day they closed on the house, we'd all celebrated. Dinner at a steakhouse. Trevor's parents were there too. His father had talked about property values and appreciation rates. His mother had talked about interior design. I'd sat at the end of the table, ate my ribeye, smiled when I was supposed to smile. Nobody had asked about the boat. The call came on a Thursday afternoon. I was under a walk-in cooler at a restaurant in Biddeford, replacing a compressor. Phone buzzed in my pocket. I almost didn't answer. Number I didn't recognize. "This is David." "Good afternoon. This is Samantha from Everhart Soundworks Mortgage Services. I'm calling regarding account number ending in 7743. Is this a good time?" I slid out from under the cooler, wiped my hands on my work pants. "What's this about?" "We're calling because the September payment on this mortgage is now 15 days past due. We wanted to reach out before any late fees are assessed." I stood up, looked around the empty kitchen. The lunch rush was over, just me and the hum of refrigeration units. "The September payment?" "Yes, sir. We show a payment of $2,417 was due on September 1st. We haven't received it yet." "I'm not the primary borrower. I'm the co-signer." "Yes, sir, we're aware." We've been attempting to reach the primary borrowers for the past week. When we couldn't establish contact, we moved to the cosigner. You can't reach them? The phone number on file is no longer in service. The email address is bouncing back. We sent a physical letter to the property address but haven't received a response. I felt something cold settle in my stomach. Give me that account number again. She repeated it. I pulled out my phone, checked my records. Same number. How many payments have they missed? I asked. This is the first missed payment, but we did note that last month's payment came in 8 days late. And you're calling me because? As co-signer, you're equally responsible for the debt. If the primary borrowers default, the lender will pursue collection from you. I closed my eyes, breathed slowly through my nose. I understand. Let me make some calls. We'd appreciate any payment as soon as possible to avoid late fees and credit reporting. I hung up, stood there in that restaurant kitchen for a full minute. Then I tried calling Vanessa. Straight to voicemail. I tried Trevor. Same thing. I drove to their house. Took 40 minutes. Hit every red light. My hands were tight on the steering wheel. Their car was in the driveway. A Lexus SUV. New. Couldn't be more than 6 months old. I didn't remember them mentioning buying a new car. I knocked on the door. Rang the doorbell. Nothing. I knocked again. Harder. The door opened. Trevor stood there in a golf shirt and khaki shorts, holding a beer. Behind him, I could hear a football game on TV. David, hey, what's up? I got a call from the mortgage company. His face changed, just slightly, like he'd been expecting this but hoped it wouldn't happen. Oh yeah, we've been meaning to call you about that. Meaning to call me? They said you're 15 days late, that your phone is disconnected. We changed numbers, new cell plan, better rates. Why didn't you tell me? He shrugged. It's been hectic. Come on in. I followed him inside. The house looked good. New furniture, big TV on the wall, some expensive-looking art. Kitchen had been updated, new appliances, granite countertops. Vanessa came out from the hallway, stopped when she saw me. Dad. Your mortgage is late. I know. We're handling it. Handling it? The bank called me, because they can't reach you. Trevor set his beer down. We had some unexpected expenses. The payment will be made. It's fine. Unexpected expenses? Like that new car in the driveway? We needed a reliable vehicle, Vanessa said. Her voice had an edge to it. Defensive. Your Honda was 2 years old. Dad, this isn't your business. The words hit me like a slap. I looked at my daughter, really looked at her. She was annoyed, put out that I was here, that I was questioning them. Not my business, I co-signed. I'm on the hook if you don't pay. We'll pay, Trevor said. Like I said, it's just been hectic. When? When will you pay? Probably next week. Probably. Definitely next week. I looked around the room again, saw the receipts on the counter, dinner out, another dinner out, shopping bags by the stairs. Everything looked expensive, everything looked new. You told me you'd pay me back too, I said quietly. 8 months ago. Haven't seen a dollar. Vanessa's jaw tightened. We're working on it. Working on it while you buy new cars and new furniture? You know what, Dad? We're adults. We don't need to explain every purchase to you. Something broke then. Not loudly, not violently. Just a quiet snap inside my chest. You're right, I said. You don't. I walked to the door, stopped, turned back. Make the mortgage payment. You've got until the end of the month. After that, my name is on that loan and it becomes my problem. I don't want it to become my problem. It won't, Trevor said. We've got it covered. I left, got in my truck. Sat there for a minute looking at their house. The house I'd helped paint. The house I'd fixed the plumbing in. The house I'd made possible. The house they'd celebrated without me. I started the engine. Drove home. My house felt emptier than usual when I walked in. I went to my office, pulled out the mortgage documents again, read through them more carefully this time, found the sections about cosigner responsibility, about default, about what happens when payments aren't made. Then I pulled out my phone, scrolled through my contacts, found a name I hadn't called in 8 years, Lawrence, my attorney friend from back when Catherine was sick. He'd helped with her estate, with the will, with all the paperwork that comes after someone dies. I stared at his number for a long time. Then I made the call. Lawrence speaking. It's David from Portland. Not sure if you remember me. David. Of course I remember. How are you? I need some advice about a mortgage, about co-signing, about my options if things go sideways. There was a pause. Tell me everything. So I did. I told him about the co-signing, about the down payment, about the missed payment, about the new car and the new furniture and the disconnect between what they were spending and what they owed. He listened, didn't interrupt. When I finished, he was quiet for a moment. David, I think we need to meet in person. Can you come to my office tomorrow? Yeah, what time? How about 9 in the morning? I'll be there. I hung up. Sat in my office until the sun went down. Didn't turn on any lights. Just sat there in the growing dark, thinking about everything that had led to this moment. The housewarming party I wasn't invited to. The phone calls that went unanswered. The pattern of being pushed aside while still being expected to provide. My phone buzzed. Text from Vanessa. Dad, you didn't need to come over like that. We're fine. Stop worrying. I didn't respond. Just set the phone down and stared at the wall. Something had changed in me that afternoon. Something fundamental. I'd spent 30 years putting my daughter first, sacrificing, providing, supporting, and somewhere along the way that love had been mistaken for obligation. My presence had been downgraded to inconvenience. I thought about Catherine, about what she'd said in the hospital. Take care of our girl. I'd done exactly that. But maybe taking care of her didn't mean letting her take advantage of me. Maybe it was time to take care of myself. Lawrence's office was in downtown Portland, same building where we'd met 8 years ago. Same receptionist, too. She recognized me, smiled, said he was expecting me. He came out himself to greet me. Lawrence was 63 now, gray hair, reading glasses on a chain around his neck. He shook my hand firm. Come on back. His office overlooked the harbor. Early morning light on the water. Boats heading out. I stood at the window for a moment. Beautiful view, I said. Gets me through the tough days. Coffee? Please. He poured 2 cups from a pot on the credenza. We sat across from each other. He had a yellow legal pad in front of him, already had notes written on it. I did some preliminary research after our call, he said. Looked up the laws around cosigner responsibility in Maine. Want to hear what I found? Yeah. The short version is that as a cosigner, you're 100% liable for the debt if the primary borrowers default. The bank can come after you for the full balance. They can garnish your wages. They can put liens on your property. You have the same obligations as if you'd taken out the loan yourself. I nodded. Already knew most of that. But hearing it said out loud made it more real. Can I get my name off the loan? Not easily. You'd need the primary borrowers to refinance without you, which means they'd need to qualify on their own. They couldn't qualify on their own. That's why I co-signed. Then you're stuck unless things change significantly with their income or credit. I drank my coffee. It was bitter. I drank it anyway. What about the money I gave them for the down payment? Can I get that back? Did you have any agreement in writing? Any promissory note? Any documentation that it was a loan rather than a gift? No, just my daughter's word that they'd pay me back. Lawrence winced. That's going to be hard to recover without documentation, so I'm out $15,000 and tied to a mortgage they're not paying on time. I'm afraid so, at least legally speaking. I stared out the window again, watched a fishing boat clear the harbor mouth. What would you do? I asked. If you were me? He leaned back in his chair, tapped his pen on the legal pad. Honestly, I'd protect myself. Make sure that mortgage gets paid every month even if you have to pay it yourself. Your credit is on the line. If they default, it destroys you too. So I should just pay their mortgage? I'm saying that's the safest play. Then you try to recover the money from them privately. But David, I have to ask, do you think they're going to default? I thought about the new car, the new furniture, the way Trevor had shrugged when I'd asked about the late payment. I think they're not taking it seriously, I said. Then you need to, because the bank sure as hell will. I left his office feeling worse than when I'd arrived. Spent the rest of that day working, fixed a compressor in Westbrook, replaced a thermostat in South Portland, kept my hands busy so my mind couldn't spiral. That evening, I drove past Vanessa's house again. Different car in the driveway this time. Another new one, a sports car. Some kind of BMW. I pulled over, stared at it, tried to make sense of what I was seeing. The front door opened. Trevor came out with another guy, younger, mid-20s. They were laughing about something. Trevor pointed at the BMW. The other guy tossed him the keys. They got in the car and drove away. I sat there for 20 minutes. When they came back, they had takeout bags. Chinese food looked like. They went inside. I drove home, ate a frozen dinner, went to bed early. 3 days later, the mortgage company called again. Mr. David, this is Samantha from Everhart Soundworks Mortgage Services. I'm following up on our previous conversation. We still haven't received the September payment. I spoke with the borrowers. They said they'd handle it. We haven't heard from them. The account is now 18 days past due. Late fees have been applied. If payment isn't received by the end of business Monday, we'll begin reporting to credit bureaus. What's the total due now with late fees? $2,593. I closed my eyes, breathed. If I make the payment, can I get it back from them? That would be a private matter between you and the other parties. We just need the account current. I understand. I hung up, called Vanessa, got voicemail again. It's your dad. The mortgage company called me again. The payment is almost 3 weeks late now. They're going to report it to credit bureaus if it's not paid by Monday. Call me back. She didn't. I called Trevor. Voicemail. Trevor, it's David. We need to talk about the mortgage. Call me. Nothing. Saturday morning, I drove to their house again. Both cars in the driveway. The Lexus and that BMW. I knocked, rang the doorbell. Vanessa answered. She was in yoga pants and a sweatshirt, hair in a ponytail. She didn't invite me in. Dad, what are you doing here? The mortgage company called again. Monday is the deadline before they report it. We know. We're handling it. Are you? Because they said they haven't heard from you. We've been busy. Too busy to make a phone call? Too busy to pay your mortgage? Her face hardened. Why are you being like this? Like what? Concerned? Your mortgage is late and I'm on the hook for it. Trevor appeared behind her. David, good morning. Is it? The mortgage needs to be paid by Monday. We'll take care of it. That's what you said last week, and the week before. I said we'll take care of it. I looked past them into the house, saw the new TV, the new furniture, saw shopping bags on the counter. You bought another car, I said. That's my cousin's, he's visiting. For how long? I don't see how that's relevant. It's relevant because you're spending money on everything except the mortgage I co-signed. Vanessa stepped forward. Her voice dropped. Angry now. You co-signed because you wanted to help us, not so you could police how we spend our money. The words stung, sharp and clean. I co-signed because you asked me to, because you said you needed me. And now you're using it to control us, Trevor said. I stared at him. This man who'd shaken my hand at the bank, who'd called me the best at the wedding, who was now standing in the doorway of a house I'd helped him buy, telling me I was controlling. Pay the mortgage, I said quietly. By Monday. Or I will. Fine. Whatever. We'll pay it. They closed the door. I stood there on their porch, looked around at the neighborhood. Nice houses, nice cars, nice lawns. Everything looked perfect from the outside. I got in my truck, drove to the bank, withdrew $2,600 from my savings, the account I'd been rebuilding since the down payment. Monday morning, I called the mortgage company. "This is David, account ending in 7743. I'm making the September payment." "Thank you, sir. How would you like to process this?" "I'll bring a cashier's check to your office." "That would be fine. We have a location on Forest Avenue." I drove there on my lunch break, handed over the check, got a receipt. "This brings the account current?" I asked. "Yes, sir. Thank you for your payment." I sat in the parking lot afterward, looked at the receipt. $2,593. Gone. Money I'd earned on my knees fixing broken coolers. Money I'd saved by eating cheap meals and skipping vacations. Gone because my daughter and her husband couldn't be bothered. I called Vanessa. "It's paid," I said when she answered. "What?" "The mortgage. I paid it, you're current." Silence on the other end. "Dad, you didn't have to do that." "Yeah, I did. Because you weren't going to. We were going to pay it." "When?" "They were about to report it. Destroy both our credits." "That's dramatic." "Is it?" "Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you don't give a damn about this mortgage or the fact that my name is on it." "Don't talk to me like that." "Then act like an adult. Act like someone who understands responsibility. I have to go." She hung up. I sat in my truck, hands shaking. I'd never talked to her like that before. Never raised my voice. Never pushed back. But something had broken loose. Something that had been building for months, years maybe, and I couldn't put it back. October came. Leaves turned. Weather got colder. I went to work. Came home. Didn't hear from Vanessa. The mortgage payment for October came due. I waited, watched the calendar, called the bank on the 5th. "Has the October payment been made?" "No, sir, it's 4 days late." "Same account, ending in 7743. "That's correct." I made the payment. Another $2,417. Brought a cashier's check again. Got another receipt. Didn't call Vanessa. Didn't expect her to call me. She didn't. November came. Same thing. Payment due on the 1st. No payment made. I paid it on the 4th. I'd now paid 3 months of their mortgage. Over $7,000. Added to the $15,000 down payment. I was $22,000 into this house. The boat I'd wanted seemed like a joke now. A silly dream from a simpler time. I started keeping detailed records. Every payment. Every date. Every receipt. Put them all in a folder. Not sure what I'd do with them. But I kept them anyway. One evening in mid-November, I was at the grocery store, buying basics, bread, eggs, coffee. I turned down an aisle and nearly ran into Trevor's mother. Her name was Patricia. We'd met at the wedding, at a few holiday things. She was always polite, always perfectly dressed. "David, hello." "Patricia, how are you?" "Wonderful. Just picking up a few things. How have you been?" "Busy. Work keeps me moving." "I'm sure it does. We haven't seen you lately. Vanessa mentioned you've been under the weather?" I stopped pushing my cart, looked at her. "Under the weather?" "She said you'd been having some health issues, nothing serious, she hoped." "I'm fine. Perfectly healthy." Patricia's smile faltered, just slightly. "Oh, well, that's good to hear. I must have misunderstood." "What else did she say?" "Just that you've been a bit distant lately, taking some time for yourself." I nodded slowly, seeing it now, the story they'd been telling, the narrative that made me the problem instead of them. "I've been around," I said, "just haven't been invited to much." "Well, you know how busy young people are these days." "Yeah, I know." I finished my shopping, drove home, sat at my kitchen table. They were lying about me, telling people I was sick, that I was being distant, rewriting reality to make themselves look better. I pulled out my phone, went to Facebook, found Trevor's mother's page, scrolled through her recent posts. There, 3 weeks ago, photos from a dinner party. Vanessa and Trevor at a nice restaurant. Trevor's parents, his sister, some other people I didn't recognize. Caption, "Family dinner with our favorites, so blessed." I wasn't there, hadn't been invited, hadn't even known about it. I kept scrolling, found more. A weekend trip to the mountains. Trevor and Vanessa with his family, hiking, laughing, looking happy. Found a post from Vanessa herself, 2 months ago, right before I'd learned about the missed mortgage payment. Grateful for my amazing husband and supportive family. Life is good. I stared at that word. Family. Singular. Like she only had one now. Like I'd been edited out. I closed Facebook. Felt something twist in my gut. The next morning I called Lawrence again. "I need to know something," I said. "If I've been paying their mortgage for 3 months, does that change anything legally?" "Change what exactly?" "My options, my leverage, anything." "You're still the co-signer. You're still liable. But you might be able to establish a claim for reimbursement if you can show a pattern of them refusing to pay while you covered their obligations." "Would I need to take them to court?" "Probably, unless they agreed to a repayment plan voluntarily." "They won't." "Then yes. Small claims court. You could sue for the money you've paid on their behalf." "What are my chances?" "With good documentation? Decent. But David, it would destroy what's left of your relationship with your daughter." "I'm not sure there's much left to destroy." Lawrence was quiet for a moment. "I'm sorry to hear that." "Yeah, me too." I hung up. Went to work. Spent the day thinking about everything. About Catherine. About raising Vanessa alone. About all the sacrifices that had led to this moment. That evening I got a text from an unknown number. "This is Trevor's father, Howard. I think we should talk. Can we meet for coffee?" I stared at the message. Wondered what this was about. "When?" I typed back. "Tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., Common Grounds on Commercial Street." "I'll be there." The next morning I showed up early, ordered coffee. Black. Sat at a table near the window. Howard arrived exactly at 10. He was tall, silver hair, expensive coat. He ordered some complicated drink and sat down across from me. "David, thank you for meeting me." "What's this about?" He smiled. Professional. The kind of smile that doesn't reach the eyes. "I wanted to talk about the situation with the mortgage." "What situation?" "Trevor mentioned you've been paying the monthly installments." "Because they're not." "Yes, well, we appreciate your help with that." "My help? I'm co-signed. It's my credit too." "Of course, but we don't want this to become a burden for you." "A burden?" "You work hard. You've done a lot for Vanessa over the years. We don't want you to feel obligated to keep covering these payments." I set my coffee down. Looked at him carefully. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that Trevor and Vanessa are capable of managing their own finances. But they're young. They're still learning. If the mortgage is too much for them right now, perhaps they should consider selling." "Selling?" "It's a strong market. They'd make a profit, pay off the loan, start fresh somewhere more affordable." "And me? The money I put in?" Howard's face didn't change. Still that professional smile. "I'm sure something could be worked out. Perhaps they could pay you back from the proceeds." "Perhaps. We just want everyone to be happy." I leaned back in my chair, saw it clearly now. They wanted me to keep paying the mortgage until they were ready to sell. Then they'd pocket the profit, maybe throw me a few thousand to keep me quiet. "No," I said. "Sorry?" "No. I'm not paying their mortgage anymore. If they can't afford it, they need to figure it out. I'm done." Howard's smile faded. "David, I don't think you understand how serious this is. If the house goes into foreclosure, it affects everyone. Then they should pay their mortgage. They're trying, but they have other obligations." "Like what? New cars, new furniture, dinner parties I don't get invited to?" Howard stood up. I was hoping we could be reasonable about this. I am being reasonable. I helped them buy a house. I co-signed. I put down $15,000. I've paid 3 months of their mortgage. I've been more than reasonable. And we're grateful. But family helps family. You're right, they do. And when family takes advantage, sometimes you have to stop helping. He looked at me for a long moment, then nodded once. I see. Well, I suppose there's nothing more to discuss. He left without drinking his coffee. I sat there alone. Felt something settle, something final. They weren't going to change. They weren't going to pay me back. They weren't going to start paying their mortgage. They were going to keep taking until I had nothing left to give, unless I did something about it. I spent the rest of November thinking, planning. December came. Still hadn't heard from Vanessa. Still hadn't been invited to anything for the holidays. The December mortgage payment came due. For the first time in 3 months, I didn't pay it. I waited, watched, wondered if they'd step up. They didn't. The bank called me on December 7th. Mr. David, the December payment is 6 days past due. I'm aware. Will you be making the payment? No. Silence on the other end. I see. Then we'll need to begin our standard collection process with the primary borrowers. You do that. I hung up. December 10th, Vanessa called. First time in almost 2 months. Dad, the mortgage company called Trevor. Good. What do you mean good? Why didn't you pay it? Because it's not my house, not my mortgage to pay. But you co-signed. I did. Because you asked me to. Because you said you needed help. Not because I wanted to pay your bills forever. We were going to get caught up. When, Vanessa? When were you going to get caught up? After buying another car? After another shopping spree? After another family dinner I'm not invited to? That's what this is about? You're mad you weren't invited to something? I'm mad that I helped you buy a house and you've spent the last 6 months treating me like I don't exist unless you need money. She was quiet. I could hear her breathing. That's not fair, she said finally. Isn't it? Tell me the last time you called me just to talk. Tell me the last time you invited me over. Tell me the last time you treated me like your father instead of a bank. I've been busy. Everyone's busy. You make time for what matters. So what? You're just not going to pay the mortgage anymore? That's right. But your credit. I've already accepted that's going to take a hit. I'm more concerned about the $22,000 I've put into your house and the fact that you can't even be bothered to say thank you. $22,000? 15 for the down payment. 7 for the 3 months of payments I made while you bought new cars and went to fancy dinners. Another long silence. I didn't realize it was that much. Because you didn't care enough to realize it. What do you want from us, Dad? The question caught me off guard. I hadn't expected her to ask. Hadn't expected her to give me an opening. I want you to pay your own mortgage. I want you to pay me back what you owe me. And I want you to start treating me with respect. That's a lot. Is it? Because from where I'm standing, it's the bare minimum. I need to talk to Trevor. You do that, but Vanessa, the bank is going to start foreclosure proceedings if you don't get current soon. 3 missed payments puts you in serious territory. You need to figure this out. How much time do we have? I don't know, but not much. She hung up. I sat down, felt exhausted, like I'd just run a marathon. That night, Lawrence called me. I got a very interesting call today, he said. From who? Howard, Trevor's father. He wants to discuss a settlement. A settlement for what? He didn't give details, just said he wanted to arrange a meeting with all parties present to discuss the mortgage situation. When? He suggested next Wednesday, 1 p.m., my office. Would you be available? Yeah, I'll be there. David, I think you should be prepared for them to lowball you. They're going to try to get out of this as cheaply as possible. Let them try. Wednesday came. I took the afternoon off work, wore clean jeans and a button-down shirt, drove to Lawrence's office. Everyone was already there when I arrived. Howard, Trevor, Vanessa, another man I didn't recognize. He introduced himself as their attorney. Name was Stephen. We all sat around Lawrence's conference table. Felt like a negotiation, felt like a business deal. "Thank you all for coming," Stephen said. "We're here to discuss a resolution to the current mortgage situation." "Before we start," Lawrence said, "I want to establish some ground rules. Everyone speaks respectfully. No accusations. We're here to find a solution." Everyone nodded. Stephen opened a folder, pulled out some papers. "We've reviewed the mortgage documents and the payment history. We acknowledge that David has made 3 monthly payments totaling $7,251. We also acknowledge the $15,000 contribution toward the down payment." "$22,000 total," I said. "Yes. We propose the following settlement. Vanessa and Trevor will refinance the mortgage without David as co-signer. They will also repay David $10,000 in a lump sum payment." I looked at Lawrence. He gave me a slight nod. "Let them finish." "10,000, I said. "We feel that's fair compensation given the circumstances." "I put in 22,000. You're offering less than half back." "The 15,000 was a gift," Howard said. "You gave it freely." "I gave it with the understanding that I'd be paid back." "But you have no written agreement to that effect," Stephen said. "Legally, it could be considered a gift." "Could be. But I'm telling you it wasn't." Vanessa shifted in her seat. Wouldn't look at me. "Dad, 10,000 is a lot of money." "You're right, it is, but 22,000 is more." "We can't afford more than that right now," Trevor said. "Can't afford it? You bought a new car. 2 new cars, actually." "Those are leases," Howard said. "Different situation." "Is it? Because money is money." Lawrence leaned forward. "Let's focus on the offer. David, you have 3 options. You can accept the 10,000 and be removed from the mortgage. You can reject the offer and remain on the mortgage until they refinance on their own. Or you can sue for the full amount in civil court. What's your advice?" "Honestly, if you go to court, you might win, but it will take time. It will cost money in legal fees, and there's no guarantee they'll have $22,000 to pay you even if you get a judgment. So take the 10,000 and walk away. It's not what I'd recommend, but it's not nothing." I looked at Vanessa, really looked at her, saw her mother's eyes, saw the little girl I'd raised, saw someone I didn't recognize anymore. "No," I said. "Dad," Vanessa started. "No, I'm not taking 10,000. I'm not letting you off that easy." "What do you want?" Howard asked. His voice had an edge now. "I want the full 22,000. And I want it in writing. A payment plan, monthly installments, whatever you can afford. But I want every penny back." "That's unreasonable," Stephen said. "Is it?" "I think spending 22,000 on a house and then ghosting the person who helped you buy it is unreasonable. I think missing mortgage payments while buying luxury cars is unreasonable. I think lying to people about why I'm not around is unreasonable." Vanessa's face went red. "I never lied about you. You told Trevor's mother I was sick, that I was being distant. You've been telling people I chose not to be involved. Because you haven't been. Because you stopped inviting me. You had a housewarming party and didn't invite me. You have family dinners and don't invite me. You bought a house I helped pay for and I haven't been inside more than twice." The room went quiet. "We needed our space," Trevor said finally. "From me? I'm her father." "You can be a bit much sometimes," Howard said. I turned to him. "Excuse me?" "You hover. You ask questions. You want to be involved in everything. I want to be involved in my daughter's life. And they're trying to build their own life, without constant interference." Something clicked. I saw it all clearly now. This had been planned, not the mortgage stuff, but the distancing, the pulling away. They'd wanted me out of the picture. And when I'd pushed back, when I'd asked for accountability, I became the problem. "I see," I said quietly. I stood up. David, Lawrence said, I need some air. I walked out of the conference room, down the hall, out of the building. Stood on the sidewalk in the cold December air. My phone buzzed. Text from Lawrence. Take your time, they're still here. No rush. I stood there for 20 minutes, watching people walk by, watching cars pass, thinking about everything. Then I went back inside. I walked back into the conference room. Everyone looked up. They'd been talking, probably about me, probably about how unreasonable I was being. I sat down, looked at Lawrence. I have a counteroffer. I'm listening. They refinance immediately, get my name off the mortgage within 60 days. They pay me back the full $22,000 in monthly installments of $500 over 44 months. If they miss a single payment, the full balance becomes due immediately. And I want it all in writing, legally binding. Stephen shook his head. That's not going to work. Then we go to court. I sue for the full amount plus interest, plus my legal fees, plus the damage to my credit from their missed payments. We can let a judge decide who's being unreasonable. You can't prove the $15,000 was a loan, Howard said. Maybe not. But I can prove I made 3 mortgage payments that I wasn't obligated to make. I can show a pattern of financial irresponsibility on their part. I can demonstrate that they were spending on luxury items while defaulting on their primary residence. A judge might find that interesting. Are you threatening us? Trevor asked. I'm telling you what's going to happen if we don't settle this today. Your choice. Vanessa was crying now. Quiet tears down her face. Dad, why are you doing this? Because you left me no choice. I tried to be understanding. I tried to be patient. I tried to help. And you threw it back in my face. We never meant to hurt you. But you did. And you kept doing it. And you would have kept doing it if I hadn't stopped you. Lawrence looked at Stephen. Your clients should consider this offer carefully. Court is expensive, time-consuming, and the outcome is uncertain. This gives them a clear path forward. Stephen looked at Howard. Howard looked at Trevor and Vanessa. Nobody spoke for a long minute. Fine, Howard said finally. We'll accept your terms, 44 months at $500. But we want it in writing that this settles all claims between parties. No future lawsuits, no future demands. Agreed, I said. As long as the payments are made on time. Lawrence pulled out his laptop, started drafting the agreement right there. The room was silent except for the sound of typing. 20 minutes later, he printed out 3 copies. We all read through them, all signed. I kept my copy, folded it carefully, put it in my jacket pocket. Anything else? Lawrence asked. That's everything. We all stood up. Nobody shook hands. Nobody made small talk. I walked out first. Didn't look back. Got in my truck. Drove home. Put the agreement in my filing cabinet with all the other documents, the mortgage papers, the receipts, the canceled check, evidence of everything that had happened, everything that had led to this moment. My phone buzzed. Text from Vanessa. I hope you're happy. I didn't respond. Another text a minute later. You just destroyed our relationship over money. I stared at that one for a long time. Then I typed back. I didn't destroy anything. You did, when you decided I only mattered when I could give you something. She didn't respond. I set my phone down, looked around my quiet house. It felt different now. Not empty, just quiet. There was a difference. The first payment came in early January. Check for $500. On time. No note. Just the payment. February came. Another check. Same thing. March. April. May. Every month like clockwork. They never missed one. Lawrence called me in June. Good news. They've refinanced. Your name is off the mortgage. That was fast. Howard co-signed for them. Replaced you as the guarantor. I smiled at that. Howard had probably fought it. But in the end, he'd done what I wouldn't. Enabled them. Thanks for letting me know. How are you doing, David? Better. Actually better. Good. That's good to hear. I kept working, fixed coolers, replaced compressors, the usual. But something had shifted. I worked because I wanted to, not because I had to prove anything. July brought another check. August, September. I put every payment in the bank, watched the balance grow, watched the debt shrink. Vanessa didn't call, didn't text. I saw her occasionally on Facebook, pictures of her and Trevor, dinners out, weekend trips. She looked happy. I was glad for that. Really. I didn't want her miserable. I just didn't want to be invisible anymore. October marked a year since this whole thing started, since that morning at the diner when I learned about the housewarming party I'd missed. I was at the grocery store when I ran into Patricia again, Trevor's mother. She saw me and actually crossed to another aisle. I didn't follow. Didn't care. Let them talk. Let them make me the villain in their story. I knew what really happened. That was enough. November brought another check. December, January, February. 14 payments now. $7,000 recovered. I started looking at boats again. Nothing fancy, just something small for the harbor. Checked listings online. Went to look at a few. Found one in March. 22-foot center console. Older, but well-maintained. Guy was asking $8,000. I offered $7,000. He took it. I paid cash. Titled it in my name. Took it out that first weekend in April. The harbor was quiet. Early morning. Just me and the water and the sound of the engine. No phone calls, no obligations, no one asking for anything. Just peace. I caught 3 striped bass that morning, threw them all back. Didn't matter, wasn't about the fish. May brought another payment, June, July. Now 22 payments, $11,000 returned. Halfway there. I took the boat out every weekend that summer, sometimes before work if the weather was good. Learned the water, learned where the fish ran, learned to be alone without feeling lonely. August, September, October, more checks, more time passing, more distance between who I'd been and who I was becoming. I saw Vanessa once, at a restaurant in November. I was picking up takeout. She was there with Trevor and his family. She saw me. We made eye contact. She looked away first. I got my food and left. The checks kept coming. Every month, never late, never missing. 38 payments in, $19,000 returned, almost done. The final payment came in July, 2 years and 7 months after that meeting in Lawrence's office. Check for $500 and a second check for $1,000. The remaining balance, no note, just the payments. I deposited them both. Watched my account update. $22,000. Every penny returned. I called Lawrence. Told him it was complete. Congratulations, David. You stayed the course. Thanks for your help. Anytime. What are you going to do now? I looked out my window at the harbor, saw the boats heading out, saw the morning light on the water. I'm going fishing. And I did. Trevor and Vanessa sold the house 8 months later, made a decent profit in the strong market. Used it to buy something smaller, more manageable, something they could actually afford without anyone co-signing. Howard stopped enabling them after he got stuck with 3 months of payments himself. The relationship between Vanessa and Trevor grew strained under the financial pressure. They started attending counseling. Last I heard they were still together, but different, quieter, less showy. They'd learned what it cost to take people for granted. Patricia stopped posting their photos online after people started asking uncomfortable questions about family dynamics. The story had gotten around their social circle. It turned out that people notice when you exclude someone who helped you. Trevor's father had to admit publicly that he'd underestimated the situation. They all learned the hard way that relationships aren't transactions, but actions still have consequences. Sometimes the best revenge is just knowing who you are and refusing to be less than that for anyone.